guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. So yesterday was my birthday, so I thought it would be fun to do a 20 things I learned in 20 years video. And the first time I saw this, I actually think I saw Jenna Marbles, and it was 30 things I learned in 30 years of living. And I don't know, I just thought it'd be fun because there are some things that I've wanted to talk about, but I feel like, you know, I don't really have the platform to talk about it, and you know, to just randomly put up a video about it, you know, some people would just kind of think it's weird just because the theme of my channel is primarily makeup, and so I do like to incorporate a few lifestyle things every now and then, but I feel like this would be fun to kind of get some of my thoughts out there without really taking up too much of my channel space, I guess, and weird, I don't know. I thought it'd be fun. So a lot of these are pretty carefree, you know, it gets kind of deep at times, but I mean, for the most part, it's nothing like huge or dramatic. It's just a few lessons. Some of them are vague that I've learned that I feel like it is, you know, good to address it because it's kind of easy to forget about these things every now and then. So with all of that being said, let's go and get started. First off though, I'm gonna pin my hair back because it's kind of annoying me. So sorry if it's not styled correctly. It's not happening today. Just to prove that this is gonna be fun and not too serious, I'm business on the top and party on the bottom. So we're gonna have fun. It's not serious. It's just opinions and life talk, fun stuff. So one of the things I have learned is to be patient. In life, so much happens all the time, and a lot of the times you don't even really realize everything that's happening, all the small things that are coming in and out of your life. You just kind of put on blinders, if that makes sense, and you kind of get focused on one thing, and you feel like if it doesn't happen within the next year, it's like it's pointless. What are you doing? And I have learned that you have to be patient and you have to be committed. So for example, going through high school, just be patient, take your time, study for your tests, and just know that it's going to be over really quick. So you just have to be willing to be patient. If you are really excited and you're auditioning to get into this college, you have to be patient because sooner or later you're gonna be graduating from college. And also, along with being patient, make sure that you challenge yourself every day in that time of waiting. Make sure that you're trying new things, or if you tried something a year ago, try it again to see if you like it. For example, pantsuits, rompers. I never used to wear that. I know this is like funny or what, it's stupid or whatever, but I would never wear rompers or pantsuits because I didn't think they looked good on me. Fast forward 2 years, I give it a try again and I like them. Life is like that a lot too, where you try something, you might not like it, be patient, you might like it in the future. That also goes with, you know, whatever your hobbies are. For me, makeup. I could not get a winged liner for the life of me. I think I first started doing it my sophomore year in high school, and they literally just looked like a fishtail, like it's just a little fish hook. It was so obnoxious, but what I did is I challenged myself every day and I did winged eyeliner every single day, even if I didn't like it, just so I could get better and better. And I'm still not perfect. These wings aren't necessarily perfect, but they're better than they were when I started. So just be patient and keep trying and don't give up, especially if it's something that you love and you're passionate about. It's worth the wait. Another thing I learned is that only you can provide your own happiness. Like, I know that is entirely cheesy, and I feel like a lot of these learning lessons are things that you've probably been told a lot, but for me personally, this means a lot to me. I have definitely learned to be incredibly content with myself and finding my own happiness, that I don't have to rely on someone else for that happiness. I mean, sure, I do get lonely every now and then, but I am able to be happy. It's not like if I'm not hanging out with someone 24/7 that I'm just like losing my mind. And I do know that some people are like that and some people struggle. So maybe try and make it a personal mission to really focus on providing your own happiness and being content by yourself. And that goes with friendships, relationships, any of that. It's hard if you move to another state or something like that, but definitely trying to focus on yourself and finding what makes you happy and how can you pursue that so that you stay in a healthy mindset, so you're not basically chained to somebody else. And you can't expect somebody else to provide your happiness for you. That puts way too much weight on their shoulders. If I were in a relationship with somebody and I was literally relying on them to make me happy every day, that is so unfair to that person. I would never want someone to expect that from me. I mean, yes, it is a romantic idea to think like, they're my reason for living, you know, stuff like that. Like, that's romantic, but you have to keep reality in check a little bit and know that, you know, like for example, sometimes people break up, sometimes things don't work out, and you just can't have that kind of weight on somebody else's shoulders, it's unfair to them. So just something to keep in mind, only you can provide your own happiness, and you can't change anybody. I remember in 8th grade, I had a crush on this bad boy, and I was thinking, oh, because I'm such a sweet, delicate dandelion, I'm like, if he dated me, he'd be sweet and precious, and he'd take care of me. He would be the bad guy, but good for me. Like, that was my mind. And that's not necessarily how it is. So just know that you can't change people, and only you can provide your own happiness. Because if you're relying on it from other people and they're gone, you are unhappy. And so you need to be able to find a way through yourself that you can provide that for yourself, because you deserve it. And you deserve to be happy. Another thing I learned, and I feel like this is very important, is to choose kindness over cruelty. I have worked in retail before, and just, you know, being a human being on this earth, it's very easy to see people who just, no matter what, don't want to be happy. And I'm a nice person as it is. I feel like I can say that, and especially when I was working in retail or service or anything like that, I would take my kindness and up it up like 20 notches, because to me, I always wanted them to leave happier than they came in. I wanted them to have a good day. I mean, that is the point of, for me to like be a human, is to make other people happy. That's how I see it. I just want to make other people happy. I want them to, you know, see a light and joy and make them realize that they want to be happy too, and, you know, kind of make it a chain reaction of everybody wanting to be happy. And so it wasn't necessarily me being fake or fake kind and just a fake person. It was me getting over whatever potential anger or bitterness or laziness I was feeling that day to really engage with other people to make them happy. And that being said, there are going to be people that you just can't make happy. I have gone into so many offices where you just see the interaction between the worker and the customer, and it goes both ways, but a lot of times I see the customer just degrading the worker, and it's like, we're all people, we all have jobs. Like, your job isn't more important than their job, because all of these jobs need to be filled no matter what. So in my eyes, they're all equal. And so for me, it really hurts seeing people just be mean and nasty all the time, because I don't understand how you can have time for that. And it's honestly because that is easier. You know, when somebody says something mean to you, it's so easy to just snap back and be cruel, but, you know, it takes more effort and strength to be able to overcome that and either ignore it and let it roll off, not say anything, or, you know, just be the bigger person. And it's so hard, but that is something that I've learned, is because people, you know, when people say you never leave high school because they just stay the same, that's true. Who you are and who you act like is the majority of who you're going to grow into, unless you have a big change or something like that, which is great. You know, the people who are nasty in high school, they're gonna be the nasty moms, like degrading a McDonald's worker because you got one less McNugget, when it's like, I don't get it. I think it's stupid and silly. So if you have the chance to be nice as opposed to cruel, always choose kindness. I mean, you never know who's gonna need it, so what goes around comes around. So number 4 is know when you've had enough. This can be in a relationship, with friends, with schoolwork stress, or anything like that. Know your limit. And by that I mean challenge yourself so that you definitely have a limit and you're not just like staying below it the entire time, but definitely reach your limit and keep pushing that boundary. And that's regarding more of work environment, school environment, that sort of thing, where see how much you can handle. But if it starts to become overbearing, definitely pull back a little bit. And regarding people and relationships, you have to know what you deserve and what you don't. Now, that doesn't mean have unrealistic standards, because for a long time I did. I was like, this is what I deserve. And, you know, that's unrealistic. But if you're being treated like crap and you know you don't deserve that, know when to walk away, and know that it's okay to walk away, you know, because it's a waste of time and energy and effort that you're putting into this relationship that you could be applying somewhere else. And that's something I definitely learned, is, you know, I'd be giving these people so much of my attention when there are these amazing people right here who really do care about me and they deserve it. And so, you know, once again, it's easier said than done, but know your limit, know when you've had enough, know that you don't deserve to be treated this way, and know that no matter who it is, it's okay to walk away. And once again, easier said than done, but just make that a mental note for yourself that it's okay to stop and walk away because you deserve better and you deserve to be happy. And if that situation is not providing happiness for you, then you need to move on. Number 5, if you're stuck in a pinch, you can use your hair as floss. I actually learned this in 2018. I was really offended that nobody told me this before, but basically if you have long hair, you can take a piece off, and if you have no floss, no toothpicks or anything, this is gonna gross so many people out probably, you can use your hair as floss to get that gunk out of your teeth so you can enjoy your date, enjoy your speech, enjoy your interview in peace. Number 6 is to not wish life away. And I know I did this a lot in, late elementary school and middle school, especially because I was just so ready. I was so ready to grow up. I was so ready to have the body that I wanted because I was stuck in puberty, and to have that Vampire Diaries kind of adventurous life, and it's not realistic. And you start wishing things away. You start being like, oh, I can't wait to get into high school. I can't wait to graduate high school. I can't wait to go to college. I can't wait to graduate college. I can't wait to get this job. I can't wait to get married. I can't wait to have kids. And before you know it, you're 40 and everything's past, and you can't run like you used to run anymore. And I know it's absolutely cheesy and weird to talk about, but seriously, I think to myself, I wish I could go back to those days where I was just laying on the couch in the family room watching my older brother play Kingdom Hearts. It's the simple things in life that you're not going to be able to have anymore. And once again, it's very simple. It's a part of growing up, but I'm a very nostalgic person. I miss a lot of things even as I move on, so I'm definitely training myself to not wish life away, because this is all I've got, and I don't want to be only looking towards the future that I'm ignoring everything happening around me. For example, I have to work, I have to make an income. I can't just lay around on the couch all day like I used to be able to do, which I know is a very lazy mindset, but as a kid, that's what you do. You don't necessarily have to do a lot. You can enjoy your childhood, you can go outside and ride a bike and stuff like that. And so I don't have that kind of simplicity anymore, and I think that's what I miss the most. Is everything used to be so simple, and now there's so many things going around, taxes, voting, paying attention to the news and what's happening in the world and figuring out where you belong in it. So the simplicity of it, I feel like, is gone. That nice painting, and that's just kind of what happens when you grow up. This also might be a pessimistic point of view, but when specific things would happen in high school that I knew wouldn't continue on, and so in that moment that this happy thing was happening, I would say to myself, enjoy this now, because it is likely never to happen again, which is a very potentially pessimistic point of view, but it's also optimistic because it makes me enjoy the moment more and cherish it more, because I understand that this might be a once in a lifetime opportunity. And that continues on throughout your life. Is if you have that moment that you need to hold to your heart, make it a reminder to remember that and to just enjoy it, let it happen, and don't wish it away, because you can't go back. And so yeah, that's kind of just my point. That being said, moving on to number 7, don't be so stuck in your past that you're fretting over everything. You're fretting over everything that's happening now, because I kid you not, I don't remember half of the things that I was freaking out about in 5th grade. I remember that I would come home crying. I don't remember what I'd come home crying about. I remember a few distinct details, but then my parents will tell me something, I'm like, oh, I forgot that happened. There's a lot of things that you're going to be freaking out about now that you're not going to remember at all in the next year, year and a half, 2 years. And it goes by, it passes. So everything that is crazy and hectic will pass. So if you're struggling right now, it will, for the most part, come to an end. I do understand that some problems are bigger than others and they might not necessarily go away as easily, but just keep in mind, with the small problems, if you're freaking out about studying for this, chemistry test, ooh, it's so scary, and it's a really big deal at the time, definitely still study and focus on it, but do understand that in 5 years, you're not gonna remember freaking out about that chemistry test specifically. So, just keep that in mind, that everything will pass, and you're not gonna remember some of the stuff that you were freaking out about 5 years from now. Now, quick input, because I feel like this is necessary, is some people might say, oh, you didn't have to deal with some of the stresses I had to deal with, so of course I'm gonna remember them. That is something that you guys, in your own way, look at it from a positive outlook. You are lucky in the sense that you have this life lesson that I don't have, that other people don't have, and so you're going to be more prepared in the future to deal with that stuff than someone like me would. Number 8 is to not trust everything or everyone on the internet, which I know is hypocritical coming from me via internet. I don't expect you guys to trust me 110%. Of course I would want you to, because I'm genuine and I try and portray that as much as possible so you guys do trust me. But if you don't trust me, I understand, because you do not know me personally. I mean, you see some articles on the news and it's very easy to believe all of it, but you need to make sure to do your own research before maybe you start promoting it or anything like that, because chances are that could be off of Wikipedia, you know what I mean? And that is something I learned in high school, is to definitely check your sources, because, for example, remember that time everyone was saying that Channing Tatum died in a skiing accident? I remember one of my friends, she texted me and she's like, oh my gosh, I feel so bad, he died, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, once again, you have to check your sources, because some people, all they want is that retweet or that share, and they want to create a controversy, and that is all over the news right now, and it goes with politics and anything like that. So just make sure that you do your research before sharing anything or talking about something that you don't know. In regards to people, it is very easy on the internet for you to attach to somebody because you feel like, oh, they're relatable or anything like that. Just always keep in mind that you do not know this person personally. You don't know them, how they've treated their friends, how they treated their family, how they treat the Costco worker, how they treat the volunteer who's picking up trash, how they treat the homeless person down the street. You don't know how they interact, and so it's very easy for you to have this idea or perspective, positive or negative, of them without knowing them. And basically, do not worship people online. That bothers me a lot, because I know some people who have skyrocketed in the industry, and some of them are the kindest, most dedicated, hardworking people, and the others are so fake and slimy and will talk about you behind their back. And those are like, they have the fan base that the kids like say, like, oh my gosh, like, I worship you, you give me so much self-confidence, blah, blah, blah. When you have to keep in mind that you don't know this person, like, Joe down the street. You don't know this person like you know your teacher or your best friend. You know them by what they want you to see, or what the media gives you bits and pieces of that might be a little bit negative, but you don't know them, and you just have to keep that in mind. And I'm like, this one in particular is hard to explain without, being rude or nasty or anything like that, but basically just keep in mind that you don't know the person behind the screen. They're only letting you see what you want them to see. And also, that being said, like, you can't judge someone off of a snippet of meeting them in person, because there's all those videos on YouTube like YouTubers I hate or meanest YouTubers, blah, blah, blah. And once again, don't know them personally, but you could have caught them on a really, really horrible day, which doesn't excuse them for being rude or cruel, but you don't know how they act on the daily. You literally could have caught them on a day their dog died, and so they're like not acting like they would on Tuesday when they won an award or streamy or something like that. It's just like something to keep in mind. I know that was really long-winded, but it's hard to explain without giving details or anything like that. So just know that you can't always trust everybody, but give some people the benefit of the doubt, but just don't worship people online. Okay, so number 9, me personally, I wanted to be 18 for 3 years before I turned 21, because in my mind, everything is cooler and means more if you're successful when you're younger. And the thing is there's always going to be someone who is younger and more successful than you in your industry, and you just have to be accepting of that, because once again, you can't change it. You can't go back in time and do this. You can't change what's already happened. And there's nothing wrong with being 19 or 20 or 21, but for me, I was like, oh, I want to go from 18 straight to 21, because if I'm doing all the stuff I'm doing now at the age of 18, everyone's gonna look at me differently. They're gonna be like, oh, like, she's so young and doing so much for herself and building her career and stuff like that. When there's always gonna be someone younger than you. There are 16-year-olds in this industry and 11-year-olds, and it's amazing. So you just have to keep in mind that sometimes there's nothing you can do to control the situation that you're in. You just have to deal with it as best you can, and really take that and try and grow, and really almost try and take advantage of your situation. I hope I explained that well, but we're gonna move on. Number 10, so we're halfway done. Never lose sight of your hobbies and passions that truly bring you joy. It's very easy to get distracted during life and be like, oh, I need to like study, I need to do all of these things, which to an extent, once again, you have to do, but you also need to take time for yourself and enjoying your passions. Like, I just remember it was my junior year in high school. I got so busy doing all of these things, studying, doing projects, all of this stuff, and then I come home and I just want to sleep, that I stopped reading, and reading was one of my favorite things to do, and so that was definitely a bummer. Is I lost sight of something that made me happy because I was focusing so much on what I felt needed to be my focus at the time. And carrying on to that, when I was in cinema makeup school in Los Angeles, my teacher had a very, very, very important message for us, and it was that sometimes, even in your own passions, you get so distracted with it that you forget why you love it and why you started it in the first place. And that really hit me in the sense that, for example, I could do makeup on other people for the rest of my life, and I'm just doing it and doing it and doing it, and it gets to the point where it starts becoming more focused on money and what celebrity can I do, and what show can I be on, where can I travel, as opposed to the reason I started, which is to make other people happy and to bring them joy. So it's very easy to be distracted and lose sight of the reason you're doing what makes you happy, because following your dream and being passionate about what you love can easily transform into taking a tangent from your dream and hating what you love, if that makes sense. You end up losing sight of why you started, and lo and behold, you don't want to do what you love anymore because you hate it. So don't allow your vision to be twisted by other distractions, and really remember and keep yourself accountable for why you started and why you love what you love. Number 11, so how everybody is always, this is a little bragging moment because I love acting and theater and all of that stuff, is everyone in high school always thinks that sports are the coolest thing and sports are the freaking flippity flop of the life. And then you think to yourself, who does everybody think is attractive and want to be one day? Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie, Ryan Reynolds, who are they?
They're actors.
So once again, looks aren't everything, but it's just something that's funny to look at, is that everyone thought, oh, sports and everything, they're so cool. This is what's cool in high school. But what's really cool and everyone gravitates towards are like concerts and movies and football games and stuff too. But that's just something that I realized is like everybody has this perspective that high school theater and acting and music and band and orchestra isn't cool or whatever, but that is what people go to see on a daily basis. They go to see the movies and listen to the soundtrack and go to a concert, and it's all impressive and you all have to start somewhere. But going off of that, for me personally, I always thought that, actors were what I was the most attracted to because they were just so handsome. They were beautiful, like Brad Pitt and Ryan Reynolds and Heath Ledger and Ewan McGregor, James McAvoy, like all of them, I think they're beautiful. But what I realized as I grew up, that the thing that will immediately make somebody more attractive, besides personality, because let's be real, that is the peak, is musical talent, in the sense, especially their voice, or like playing the piano. And it's like if I see a person and I'm like, oh, I'm attracted to them, they got a nice face and everything, and then they sing or play the piano, I swear my heart literally explodes from my chest and like my whole body's vibrating. It's just insane. Like, I love Broadway singers so much, which once again, theater nerd, hi, how are you? Because their voices are so amazing, and half of them can play the piano too, and I'm realizing, like, wow, I love it. I probably would have continued into musical theater just so I can find the love of my life, because I don't know, it's just so amazing. I always find it so impressive when somebody that you don't know can sing suddenly starts singing, and I just feel like that's such a beautiful talent to have. And that doesn't mean that you're any less of a person because you choose to play sports or if you write books or anything like that. It's just, for me personally, that is something that I find is a more attractive quality when I personally look at a person. Once again, these are 20 things I've learned for me, so they might not apply to you, but I just think it's cool. Does anybody else feel that same way? Let me know, because I might just be the only one and then I'll feel bad. Number 12 is to always try to find a compromise. I feel like there are so many people who just think that this is the only right way to do it, blah, blah, blah. This is the only right way to do it. And there's two extremes, and nobody is trying to give a little so they can gain a little and give a little so they can gain a little. They all are just sticking to their guns and not making any compromise whatsoever, when that is not the successful way to go about life. You have to be able to find a way to divvy things up, and you're gonna lose something, but you're gonna get something in return. But hey, they're gonna lose something too in order to get something. I just feel like it's so frustrating seeing people being so extreme and there's no room for compromise in their head whatsoever. It's like, it's this way or the highway, and I don't understand that. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, if you give it a little effort, you can actually find a compromise. And I feel like people need to be willing to have actual conversations, because what is so incredibly frustrating is you sit people down to have a conversation or discuss their feelings or discuss the situation or something, and everybody's just interrupting and nothing is getting done. Give someone their chance to speak, listen, and try to find some sort of compromise, even if it means you have to give up a little bit in order to get some. I don't know. That whole situation is just so frustrating to me, and I don't understand it. Also, everybody has reasons for doing things that they do, so be willing to hear them out. Don't just think that somebody doesn't have a side to their story, or that, oh, well, you know, Shelby told me this, so it's 100% the truth, but there's another side to the story. So you need to be able to take that into consideration before you take what Shelby said as 100% truth. Also, if Shelby's watching this, just any Shelby, hi, I'm not directing it at you, I just picked the name, so hi Shelby's. Number 13 is that it is okay to say no. Once again, you hear this, it's kind of gotten to the point where it's in one ear, out the other, but it is okay to say no. It's okay to say no to sex. It's okay to say no to drugs. It's okay to say no because you just don't want to. That's okay. Don't let someone pressure you into doing something that you don't want to do just because you think that they're gonna think you're any less of a person, when if they're the ones forcing you or making you feel guilty for not doing this thing, you don't have time for that. You do not have time for someone who's making you feel uncomfortable because you don't want to do what they want to do. And number 14 is basically like 14A. It kind of connects to 13 essentially. It's basically the same thing, but it's another point. Is it's okay to say no for your mental health. That I feel like has to be a different thought, because saying no to drugs, everybody hears about that. But if your friends are going out to party and you've been partying for the last 2 weekends and you just want to sleep, you don't even want to do anything, you don't really even have a valid excuse, you just don't want to, it is okay to say no. They can't expect you to be at their beck and call every single time. It's okay to take some time for yourself and mental health, because if you are running yourself, you're gonna run yourself dry, and you just need to be able to take a break. And if you don't want to do something, you can say no. If you literally just want to lay in bed, you can say no. Now, it does get a little difficult when it comes to how it affects others. For example, if you guys have been planning something for a really, really, really long time and you bought tickets and all this stuff, and then you say no, that's where it's a little difficult because you're letting other people down. So just know that at times it's okay to say no, but also keep in mind that there are times that you do have to stay to your commitment. Number 15 is that everybody is in your life for a reason. Every single person you meet, whether you just walk past them on the street, whether you interact with them at the grocery store, every person is in your life for a reason, but not every single person is meant to stay in your life. Some people are meant to be lessons. Some people are meant to be a growing patch for you, so you learn more about yourself and you realize that you don't want that. Or, you know, sometimes you just naturally grow apart. Sometimes your interests change, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's okay that not everything is going to stay the same. 16 is that procrastinating isn't all that bad. Now, hear me out. There are times when things need to be done. For example, if you're doing a favor for somebody, if you are working for somebody, if your mom asks you to do something, those are situations where procrastinating isn't the best choice, because that's when it's affecting somebody else. However, if it's just affecting you and you want to procrastinate on your homework, as long as you know that you have the work ethic to get it done when it's necessary, then I don't necessarily think that's the smartest thing, but it's not going to be the end of the world. For example, a lot of my high school chemistry projects, I procrastinated until like 2 nights before it was due, sometimes even the night of. But I knew myself well enough to know that I had the work ethic that I was still gonna make it look as good as possible, despite the fact that I'm only getting it done in one night as opposed to spreading it out. So I'm not trying to encourage you guys to postpone everything and just be lazy. I'm just saying, know yourself and know your work ethic, because if you are like me, it is not that bad. I still scored really high grades on all of that stuff, but especially if you are doing something for somebody else, that is when it is not okay to procrastinate. Just because you might not want to do it at that time, somebody else is counting on you, so you need to do it. Number 17, we're getting there, is everybody has an awkward stage. Every single person. And trust me, you might think, oh my gosh, this dude in middle school never had an awkward stage. He was always beautiful. He did. Trust me. Everybody has an awkward stage. It's called puberty and it's not the best, but everybody has it, and you're not the only one. If you feel really awkward and uncomfortable in your body, everybody is feeling that way, sometimes for different reasons, but just understand that everybody has an awkward stage, and you're going to get to a point in your life where you work through it and you're going to conquer that. Number 18 is sometimes in order to pursue your dreams, you have to lose a bit of yourself in the process. And I was not prepared for this. For example, when I moved to Los Angeles, I was pursuing my dream. I was going to a prestigious makeup school. I was so excited, but I was incredibly lonely. And despite the fact, because I don't want to completely negate this, is I had such amazing people there, amazing classmates. It was very different for me because I am a very homely person in the sense that I am super close to my family and friends, and they are my people. And so to move into a studio apartment alone, even though one of my soon-to-be best friends lived right down the hall, it is different. And I felt like in order to follow my dream and pursue that career, I ended up losing a piece of, my innocence in a sense, because I didn't know how to deal with that. I didn't know how to prep for it. I'm in this huge city, and going out to meet new people isn't always smart. Sometimes it's dangerous, and so I'm stuck in that awkward bubble. And so in order to find myself, I had to lose a piece of myself in the process. But just know, you will be better off. You will have grown in some sort of way. And budding off of that, onto number 19, is try to be outgoing, even if it makes you uncomfortable. Now, don't do it if it makes you incredibly uncomfortable, but always be willing to take an extra step further than what makes you comfortable. If you're living in this comfort bubble, you're gonna be the one thinking, what if, instead of why not, anything like that. And so definitely something to consider is to try and be more outgoing. And for example, you don't think that there's anything to do, try and be a tourist in your own city. I don't go into downtown San Antonio nearly as much as I would like to, so that's one of my goals, is to definitely try and adventure more and go see new things, try and meet new groups of people, and see what their lives were like and get to know them and just share experiences. Don't be stuck on your phone all day being like, oh my gosh, is like this new game gonna load, blah blah blah. Like, having those electronic memories and stuff like that is fun, and it should definitely be a part of your life, but not to the point where it completely absorbs any personal interaction you may have, or going to see some beautiful architecture or landmarks or anything like that because you're so stuck over here. So just try and be a little bit more outgoing and be okay with stepping out of your comfort zone a little bit, and then just keep stepping out until you're happy and content with everything that you're doing. And finally, number 20, probably one of the most important things I have learned in my 20 years, is to put sugar in pasta. And I'm not even gonna explain it, I'm just gonna leave it at that. And those are the 20 things I learned in 20 years. Now, obviously there's more things I have learned, but these are just some of the things that have really stuck out to me. And I really hope they made sense and didn't offend anybody, because they weren't intended to. And I know some of them were vague, so maybe they didn't make sense, but I tried to translate it from my head into words as best as possible. So if they were confusing or didn't make sense, or if they offended you, I promise they weren't intended to. They've just been thoughts, and things that I've wanted to tell people, or things that I wish I knew when I was younger. So I really hope they helped. So let me know if you have learned anything, which I hope you have, and you know, maybe we can all kind of like share some experiences together and talk about things that we have learned and to keep in mind. And if you feel like translating some of my thoughts into your own words, feel free, because I don't know if I made sense. I tried. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Leave a comment down below if you'd like to see next. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of my videos, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!